All right, well, let's go to Sal Capaccio, who now joins us here on the Wester Hotline. Sal, good morning to you.
Good morning. Yeah, no, I believe that sack that Favre took a dive, that was the record-breaking sack because that was late in the final game of the year.
Okay.
And that's kind of why he laid it down.
There is I forget the name of who had the record before, but there was a very awkward. Okay, thank you. Yes, there's a very awkward clip of him approaching Brett Favre recently.
Oh, that's
and he's
right.
still he's very upset still that happened. That he took a dive for Strahan.
Yes, that was at a memorabilia show, and Gastineau has always been very bitter about it.
Yeah,
and Favre was there, and there was a documentary being made of it, and a film crew was with him. And he approached Favre, and it was, you're right, it's very awkward. Yeah. And Favre had no idea what was going on. He didn't understand.
Right. Favre, he was not ready. He thought he was kidding, I think, at first.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't think, people have asked, oh, would Josh Allen ever do something like that? First of all, I don't think so. Secondly, he's got 2 games after
that. Yeah. He doesn't need the charity, I don't think,
no,
Sal.
Right.
You are up at Huntington Bank Stadium. Cleveland's getting a new stadium, an indoor stadium. I have never been at a game at that stadium, Sal, but like Buffalo, or like a lot of people talked about Buffalo's new stadium being on the waterfront, Huntington Bank Stadium right in the waterfront, they've had some interesting weather games between these two teams as well. That's a natural grass surface field, right?
Yep, I'm standing on it right now, actually. I'm standing just off it as I will walk onto the grass. I'm in the end zone now.
It is
grass.
It's a great complex down there.
It is, and it's got it's got the turf on the side. It's got the grass on the field. I mean, here's the thing. It's crazy, though. Browns came back in the league in 99, so this stadium, guys, is only 27 years old. Right? I mean, think about it. 26, 27, and, they're getting a new one. It was kind of like, we got to build one if we want to get a team back.
Right.
And they did, and it's I don't want to say, I guess, cookie cutter kind of thing. It looks very similar to Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Baltimore is kind of similar. Tennessee, it
reminds me of a lot. Yeah. Same era.
So it's not but the new one is not going to be down here. I don't know. Is it Brook Park maybe? I can't remember if they decided exactly there, but it is going to be indoors, but it's going to be beautiful. It also kind of looks like a convention center from the outside when you look at the renderings.
Yeah, a little bit, right. If you pass by it, you might not know that there's a football stadium in there. It's also right by the airport, right? Very close to the airport, I think.
I think that's the case, yeah. In fact, it's funny you say that. We came in and, flying with the team, and this is one of the stadiums where, and you could always have a different hotel you stay at, but, literally, we were right across the street from the stadium. It was the shortest bus ride I've ever had from a hotel to a stadium. It's always the case here. Basically, you get in, so it's right on. I love it. I love the fact that it's downtown. I love the fact that it's on the water, near, maybe not on the water, but downtown near everything. Because honestly, last night, it's just you have the stadium, you have the Hard Rock, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the baseball stadium, the basketball arena. Everything is right here. It's pretty cool.
So, Sal, we'll dive into the game a little bit. Looking at the injury report, we'll start there. Christian Benford, both Terrell Bernard and Christian Benford, full participants on Friday. Both have, looks like, clear game statuses for this game. I want to start with Benford, Sal. I was really impressed, especially watching that game back last week about Maxwell Hairston's game, and specifically what they did with Hairston, kind of leaving him on an island backside in man coverage. Knowing now that I think that one game alone has given this defense and this coaching staff confidence that Hairston, when they're in a pickle, can go out there and they feel very confident with him. But I'm wondering now just how maybe they're going to use Benford and Hairston and Trey White, who, listen, Trey White's not coming out of the starting lineup here, it feels, Sal. I wonder how they might start using them all in some dime looks, on clear passing downs. This is, I would say, maybe the best problem they've had at corner in a few years.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect Max Hairston to necessarily line up as a dime safety or in the box. There's just so much that's on the plate of a player there. To me, it's just you have 3 corners, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a rotation. It's their boundary corners. And, it's Christian Benford coming off the injury. Maybe you get to a point today where you can back off him a little bit. Maybe he becomes a part of a rotation today. I'm not sure, but, maybe that's something. And obviously, you don't want to necessarily take the Browns lightly or assume anything for sure. But the ideal scenario would be, hey, you know what? The Bills could get up in this game, and as the game goes on, you have it, where you feel comfortable. Maybe Benford takes a little time while you start load managing. But in the meantime, if this game is a game and you got to keep playing and you're in the fourth quarter, I am interested to see who's on the field opposite Christian Benford. Is it Trey White? Is it Max Hairston? Because I do like what Max Harrison's done. But I'll say this guy, Trey White's played well. I think they really like the way he's played, especially since, early in the season, the bye week. And I think they have every confidence in the world in him. It is, as you said, a good problem to have because it's not a problem. It's just they have 3 players they feel very confident in right now.
Sal, do you feel like this matchup, the Bills' defensive line has not necessarily performed all that well in the last month or so, that today could be a day for them to look good? It's a combo, it feels like, of Cleveland missing linemen, and Sanders holds the ball longer than any quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that they would be able to have a little bit of an improvement on some of those kind of numbers, the pass rush numbers, getting to the quarterback. You're right, Sanders holds onto the ball. And think about the fact that, rookie quarterback Sean McDermott, Bobby Babbitt, they're going to try to confuse him a lot, right? So he might have to hold on the ball even longer in this game, which that could spell, the Bills getting to him a little bit. I would love to see that. I think the biggest area for me for the defensive line, though, is not that. They need to tackle today. Quinshon Judkins is one of the best at breaking tackles, yards after contact. This kid has over 800 yards rushing, over 700 after contact, guys.
Wow.
I mean, you got to get him down to the ground. So to me, the biggest thing with the front seven and the D line today is tackling. I think that's where you really have to be a lot better.
And how much of the Bills' struggles run game wise do you think this year has been that? Like, I guess scheme and gap integrity versus you were there, you just didn't really bring him down.
A lot of it. I think a lot has come down to that. If you go back to some of the games earlier in the year, I think the New England game was one of these games in Sunday Night Football. They missed tackles. Atlanta Falcons, they missed tackles. And you miss a tackle and against a guy like Judkins, you can miss a tackle against a Bijan Robinson or a Travion Henderson, not that they missed the tackles last week on those 2 long runs, but they were out of their assignments there. But tackling has been an issue. So I do think that has been a big issue at times this year. They seem like they were getting better. Last few weeks they've been better at it, and then last week it popped up again in New England. Even though they did win the game and obviously made big plays, I didn't think the tackling was very good last week. And one of the guys last week I thought that wasn't as best as he had been was Shaq Thompson. And you bring up Terrell Bernard being back. That's something I'm really interested today to see what happens. I think at corner they could go rotation, whatever. We can understand that. I think the bigger question to me is what happens at middle linebacker today.
Yeah, and I wonder too, Sal, because obviously the concern with Bernard has been the elbow since he had the injury. But going into the game that he gets the elbow injury, the talk was him still fighting through some sort of lower body, ankle, foot, knee, whatever it was. Yep. And I think when you look at Terrell Bernard, he's not the biggest linebacker, but that's not why he had been successful to start his career. It wasn't his size or it wasn't his ability to be really a physical player. He is a read and react and gets there before the blockers get there kind of linebacker. And he just wasn't getting there and getting to the spot quick enough with the injury to his lower body or his leg. Do we feel like that has been figured out, and is he maybe closer to 100% in that area? Because I think if not, that's where I'm leaning on Shaq Thompson until I feel Terrell Bernard's got the foot speed that he plays with that gives him an advantage and why he's out there in the first place.
I don't believe ankle is listed anymore in the injury report, right?
It's just elbow. Yeah.
So I think that's an indication that they probably feel like he's in a much better spot. I mean, when he got hurt, that was one of the things that I thought about, which was that, you don't want to see him hurt. You don't want to see him off the field, but at least maybe this gives him time also to rehab the ankle a little bit, get a little bit better there. So, yeah, I think that could be a very big benefit for him, and we'll see. This might be a team today where you don't necessarily need the sideline-to-sideline coverage from the linebacker. Right. You might need a guy like Shaq Thompson to plug up and make sure you're tackling Quinshon Judkins. Again, this could be an issue where in a situation where the Bills mix and match Thompson and Bernard, going out through now and through the playoffs and every team they're playing.
The other thing, too, we were talking about this last segment, Sal, is last week, Matt Milano's ability on the blitz. He gets 2 sacks last week. That's also, I think, a big strength of Terrell Bernard. And I think, too, if this defense is going to become a little bit, I think, out of necessity, a blitz-heavy, zone blitz, man blitz, and kind of mix things up on that end, getting a healthy Terrell Bernard, I think, is a huge advantage for them. That's really what he was best at Baylor. I mean, that was kind of what he's like. I think he led Baylor his last year at Baylor in sacks. Like, he's the type of player that I think really fits what they're out of necessity doing defensively right now, Sal.
Yeah, you're right. They need to go, it feels like lately they need to blitz a little more. They don't want to do it necessarily. They did it more in the second half last week. Matt Milano was blitzing. Milano's a good blitzer. You just don't love using him in that regard. and Bernard can do that as well. I don't think it's the preferred option, but if they have to, they will. And we'll see today if they mix and match a little bit here. Harold Fannin is a really nice tight end. That's a guy you have to be aware of too. And you wonder about, again, Bernard, Milano, linebackers. That's how are you going to match up against him? Jerry Jeudy's nice. They have nice pieces as pass catchers. So we'll see what they decide to do in that regard.
Sal Capaccio with us. On the other side of the matchup, Sal, it's a lot of pub about Myles Garrett because he's closing in on the sack record. And listen, the Bills they've lost a couple games this year because they couldn't handle pass rush, at least in part lost those games. Houston, Atlanta come to mind. Cleveland's got some other pieces, though. Like Garrett's definitely the headliner, but like Carson Schweisinger, I think, is the betting favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Player.
Like if there's one side of the ball that's more threatening for Cleveland, I feel like it's definitely their defense.
No doubt. They're really good on defense. Their numbers are really good. If they had a competent offense in any regard, they'd have a different season going on. I think what's happening is their offense is so poor on a week-to-week basis that they just can't overcome. The defense can't overcome the positions that they're put in. But yeah, you're right. If the Bills aren't on, have their game going today on offense, this could be a defense that could make a couple of plays and suddenly things get interesting. You don't want that to happen. So no doubt, you need to be very, very aware of where Myles Garrett is. People talk about, of course, the headline is how great he is getting to the quarterback guys, but he's also a really good run defender. And the Bills are going to want to run the ball today, and they have a very good run defense. Their pass defense. Cleveland's pass defense is number 1 in the NFL. Yeah. Number 2 is the Bills, which is crazy, right?
They're number 1 in success rate in EPA per play. I mean, they are they're a legitimate defense.
They will be without Denzel Ward today, though. Yep. So that's a big loss for them, obviously. I think one of their D linemen is also down. They had to elevate somebody. So, maybe the Bills have an opportunity here. I think the Bills are going to want to run the ball with James Cook. Obviously, he's near the rushing lead this year, but they're a very good defense. Jim Schwartz, a very good coordinator, and the Bills cannot allow them to make a play or two here or there to stay in this game and get into a situation like they've been the last few weeks getting down.
Do you have a thought as what happens with Stefanski after this year in Cleveland?
I've talked with different people in Cleveland media this week who've really we've been kind of going back and forth about this subject, and it feels to me like he's got a lot of support from fans and media who think he's doing a really good job. And he doesn't really have the tools necessarily, and he's 2-time Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is an organization that doesn't have the greatest structure all the time. They kind of don't really know and have a great plan on what they want to do. At this point, after 3 wins, I wouldn't be surprised if they move on from Kevin Stefanski. But this is an organization that always seems like they just kind of get in their own way a little bit more too often. So it's a tough call. I guess no. No is the answer. The answer to your question is no. I don't have a feel because I just don't know. You never know what a team like this, an organization like the Browns, is thinking because they always seem to kind of get in their own way, if you will.
Yeah, right. And I wonder, I don't know if he can do anything about it because he's under contract, but I feel like he's always mentioned in these, well, if he could get out of Cleveland, maybe this team or this team would be interesting to him, almost kind of setting it up like maybe he could get out of Cleveland if he wanted to, but again, like if he's got a contract, I don't think that could get ugly if you try to do that.
Yeah, and that was actually asked to me by one of the Cleveland media was, well, what if things fell badly for the Bills and the Bills moved on from McDermott and Stefanski was available? And I'm like, my answer was, I've never heard a Bills fan think that Kevin Stefanski would be an option to, that they would want because honestly, because there's no success there. You know what I mean? It's Coach of the Year, but that would be what you're looking for. And obviously that's just way down the rabbit hole, but it is interesting that you bring that up because I don't know. I'm sure that he would be a nice commodity to somebody who would think, hey, young quarterback, offensive head coach, no doubt about it. But I don't know. He doesn't scream to me to be a guy that as soon as he's out of a job, everybody's clamoring for him.
Right.
All right, Sal, we will talk to you. We'll hear from you in about an hour-ish time on the roundtable.
All right, you got it, guys. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Sal. Let TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence intercept your heating bills. Enter now at WGR550.com for a chance to win $1,200 toward your home heating costs. Don't fumble this opportunity. Contest ends January 4th, 2026. TRS Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical Excellence, powering tomorrow and comforting today.